Hopefully.
Hello.
Hello. I can hear you, see you. We are good. Right. Okay. Now, after a long delay, this is Ask Angelika episode 5A. So welcome Angelika.
Welcome, Stephen. Thank you. Yes, it has been a while. I think I just need to turn my volume up a little bit so I can hear better. There we are. Now I can hear better. Okay.
So it's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So welcome to Ask Angelika episode 5 with Angelika Davy of Angelika's German Tuition and Translation, and myself, Stephen. And today we're going to be talking about German. Surprise, surprise.
It's a big surprise, isn't it?
Where are we going to begin?
Well, I wanted to say a little bit about library books. Now, I feel a little bit silly here myself, because in all those years where I've been looking for free resources that people can look for, I have never thought about asking in the library whether they have any German children's books. Now, this was something somebody pointed out to me. Somebody managed to get hold of a big pile of German children's books for their granddaughter. And he emailed me and he said, oh, you probably know about this. And I thought, oh, actually, no, I don't. So I went over to the library and I said to them, do you have German children's books? And she said, probably not here, but hang on a minute. She looked at the computer. She said, oh, yes. I mean, this is the county of Wiltshire I'm talking about. But my guess is this is actually something, well, I now know it's happening all over in England. And I'm guessing if you're listening from the US or anything, it probably will be exactly the same there as well. And the lady said to me, oh, we've got quite a few German children's books. You would need to order them, but children's books you don't need to pay for. If you order an adult book, because it's not available in your library, at least in England, you will then have to pay for the order. But children's books, you don't. So she said, would you like to order some? And I said, oh, yes, please. And I said, what have you got? And she showed me this list, and I literally just went, I want that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And I ordered the full 12 books that I was allowed to have. And it was almost like Christmas when I got them. Now, the really nice thing, and that's the bit that surprised me the most, is that a lot of the books I got were actually in German and English.
Ah, okay.
Which is really useful if you're reading on your own. If you want to read, say, maybe you wanted to teach your child or grandchild, but maybe you're not too fluent yourself in German, or you just want to read it for the fun of it yourself. You don't need to tell anybody else you're reading a children's book, but you actually can read it in German and in English. I don't know whether I can show. No, I need to read. Yeah. I need to read upside down now. I think.
No, it's fine. Du trekkst durch die Wüste.
Yeah.
Trekking in the desert.
Exactly. So if you were to cover that bit up, if you covered up the English bit and you couldn't remember what Wüste was, although the picture may give it away, you could then have a look at the English bit underneath. So it's a nice way. Or you could read together with a child. Depending on how well the child can read already, one of you will read the German version and the other one will read the English bit. So it's a lovely idea that I hadn't been aware of. Some of the other books I got were a bit harder. I've got one here which is only in German. This is actually a German children's book that the library then bought, and all the text is in German in there. But I was just over the moon when I got all those, and I thought, well, I need to pass that on, because maybe there are other people just like me who don't actually know about this.
So people should just go to the local library, and what steps do you need to take then?
I suggest you just ask them. Ask them if they have any German children's books. Most libraries do have a foreign language shelf. I had a look at the adult books. There were a handful of adult books in German in the library. And again, there may be other ones in the other local libraries which I could order if I'd wanted to and get as well. Certainly in Wiltshire, the German amount isn't as big as, for example, the Polish amount. They have a huge amount of Polish library books as well. Actually, this applies to any language.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so not that we want to talk about any language, but
No.
You don't really want to listen. You don't really want to read an Italian book or a Spanish book. But now, if you do, go to the library, find out what they've got. And the nice thing is, because you're not paying for it, if you end up with a book which is too easy or too hard, well, you just take it back.
Right.
You haven't wasted any money buying the books on Amazon and then found out that you didn't like it. So it's beautiful, and you can order it again if you liked it or if your child liked it. So
you carry on.
Sorry.
So you can carry on ordering books throughout the year.
Absolutely. I mean, you may be able to renew them. It depends on how popular the books are. You may be able just to renew them. And I know in some libraries, you may even be able to have them in for as long as you like. Wiltshire says for 3 weeks you can have them, and you can have 12 books. Any other library may be completely different. That's something for you to find out. But it encouraged me to get my library card again. I did have a library card which was over 20 years old, and they actually laughed when they saw it. So I've now got a new one, a nice shiny new library card, and I intend to use it possibly for others as well. So it's supporting your local library as much as learning some German.
And we all want to do that because we want libraries to continue as a valuable resource. If you were learning German, if you're just beginning, I know it sounds daft, but would children's books be an idea?
That depends.
Okay.
The really easy ones, of course. I mean, what was the one I read with some children earlier on the other day? What shall we do with a boohoo baby? Now, there are so easy words in there. I think anybody would be able to pick it up. If you pick up a proper storybook like this one, which I actually haven't looked at yet, but there is quite a lot more text in there.
Yes.
What you find with those books, that the tricky bit with those is that they are written in the imperfect tense. Now, there'll be any story, if you're buying a storybook, if you bought a storybook in English, or you borrowed a storybook in English, the story is usually in the past tense. The tense and the imperfect tense. Now, without going into a big grammar lesson now, roughly speaking, perfect tense is the one we use in spoken German, and imperfect tense is the one you find in stories. The perfect tense, well, first of all, when you're a beginner of German, you don't even learn the past tense yet. So somebody who is looking at, who's an absolute beginner and is just looking at present tense things, you would unfortunately need to start with the really, really basic books. But on the other hand, get the ones which are in German and English and just have fun with seeing how much you do understand. Up to the first past tense German learners learn is the perfect tense, because that's the one you use when you're speaking. And the imperfect tense comes later, because it's imperfect tense is easy to see with regular verbs, but the irregular ones, a learner may look at them and saying, I haven't got a clue what that verb is supposed to be. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to read. But as long as you're aware of it, and again, if it's a library book and you borrowed one by accident or on purpose, and you looked at it and you think, actually, this is way above me, then take it back and borrow it again the following year and see if it gets any better.
Sounds like a good idea and a great resource to make use of. A great free resource to make use of.
Absolutely.
Now, in talking of resources that people can use to learn a language, our second topic relates to something that you've just released. Yeah,
another book. That one, of course, isn't free because it needs to be printed. And yes, I have published it. I had hoped to have a printed copy in my hand, but I haven't got it yet. I'm waiting for it. Oh, that's so big now, you can hardly see anything of the copy. It's also, it hasn't got much writing in it. Well, not from me. It is a diary or a motivational journal or whatever you want to call it. It's an undated diary for a whole year of learning German, and it's there to help people either keep track on their German learning or give it some structure. I mean, so many people nowadays they're teaching themselves. And I can read it now from the screen, couldn't I? Yep. So many people are learning German. The one problem they have is to schedule their learning or to keep track of their learning or any of that like that, because if they have a book, that's fine, because they follow the textbook from page 1 down to page whatever it is. But if they're using things online, they may use lots of different things, and after a while they don't know anymore, what actually have I done, what haven't I done. And if you remember in episode, was it 3 or 4, we actually answered John's question about what can he do, because he's teaching himself, and how could he keep track.
Yeah, I remember that.
This diary is for. I have divided it into sort of 2 parts. One very small part, which is just 4 pages for a monthly quick planning. That would be very useful for somebody learning on their own, because they could actually say, right, okay, well, in the first month I want to do a lot of work on this topic or this grammar bit, and then the following month I want to do this, that, and the other. So just quick bullet points or anything. And then there are 52 weeks, 2 pages to each week. The first page is the page where you can write down every day what you've done. So, I don't know, did a grammar exercise, learned some more on the dative, or read an article or anything like this. And the second page is for reflection. There is one column where you can write down the things that didn't go quite as planned, where you may need a little bit more practice. The second one where you can write down what you really enjoyed. Maybe you've read a fantastic article, or you listened to a really good song and you understood it, or you just enjoyed it, or you finally understood what the imperfect tense is and how it works, or whichever other grammar topic you're just working on. And at the bottom there is a little bit more space to make plans for the next week. So maybe you're saying, although I understood the imperfect tense now, I really do need to do more practice. And just by writing it down, it's a good reminder again.
Yes,
there is also an idiom at the bottom of each week. That's just for fun, really. You can read it. I've got an English translation next to it. So either read it for the fun of it, or if you feel like it, you could turn it into a challenge and see if you can use it somehow in the following week. That would be quite a challenge.
Right. Okay, so that's just a reminder then that it's now available on Amazon. Yes. A Year of Learning German, 52-week diary for German learners. And you can find it by going to Amazon and searching for German Learning Diary. And then the book will be dispatched to you and you're ready. And as you said, Angelika, it can be any time of the year.
Yes, it's undated deliberately, so you don't have to wait till January. You can start at any time and just go and practice.
Yeah, and you're recording what you've learned, and each week you're deciding what you're going to learn for that week.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's both a record and a planning.
Exactly. It is to keep track on what you're doing and to motivate yourself as well, because this is very difficult when you're working on your own.
Yeah, indeed. And you don't have Skype lessons or lessons. It's a great way to keep in touch. Now, also in terms of keeping in touch and keeping in touch with German, you have a blog which is published every week.
Yes.
That's a good answer, but can you expand on that?
I'm not too sure what to say, really. Yes, I have got a blog, and it's usually every Monday I post a new blog post, and it's a variety. Sometimes it's a little bit of information about German language. Often it is actually a post about where people can find free resources, like the library books, what have we got there? For example, the German for horse lovers, that was several links of sort of horsey type language. I wanted to write the post myself first, but then realized I don't actually know anything about horses. I thought other people do. So there are links and there are videos for those people who do have a horse and or just like horses. Sometimes it's a grammar lesson. Sometimes it's a review about another app or anything like this. So it's a variety of things. And I try and make it a variety. I mean, I've done a series which I've started about German dialects, and once a month you'll find there is one in there. But the other times they're
which help you organise your German learning. And finally, we look forward to seeing you in episode 6. And thank you for watching today. And it's goodbye from me. And it would be, if we can just manage it. We'll try.
Right. Shall I just say tschüss von mir?
We're trying. Do you want to say goodbye?
Okay, tschüss von mir.
Bye. Ah.